So shit, we were wrong all this time because this movie is in fact the greatest movie ever made. I also suggest that you look at the date that this video was uploaded, by the way. Morbius is brought to us by director Daniel Espinosa and stars Jared Leto, Jared Harris, and Matt Smith. Biochemist Michael Morbius tries to cure himself of a rare blood disease, but he inadvertently infects himself with a form of vampirism instead. So it's finally here, the movie we've all been waiting for. Okay, no, nobody was waiting for this fucking thing. Let's be real, when we got the first trailer to this movie, I don't know how many years ago, because this shit was made like in 2010 or something, I don't know. Maybe not quite that far back, but this movie was made quite a while back. It's been delayed about 1,000,000 times. When we got that initial trailer X amount of years ago, it didn't look good then. Nobody was like, fuck yeah, a Morbius movie. I mean, there were probably some people, all characters have fans, I understand that. So there were probably some people that were like, fuck yeah, a Morbius movie, but I don't think anybody was saying, fuck yeah, this Morbius movie. But you know, I went into this movie willing to give it a chance. I was really hoping that all the stuff I had been hearing was wrong. It was all people that had already made their minds up this movie wasn't going to be any good, so they're just trashing on it. It became kind of like a trendy thing to give Morbius shit. So I went in, and that is exactly what I did. The best I could really hope for prior to seeing the movie, I figured would be that the movie would be okay. Probably nothing great, but you know, good enough for a watch for the night or something. Well, no. So this isn't going to be a review where I just trash this movie left and right, or at least I don't think it is. Who knows where we'll go from here? But that's not what I'm planning on doing here, but this movie has a lot of fucking issues and we gotta talk about them. The setup's okay, I mean, it's fine. I didn't love it or hate it. I was on board enough with what they were doing with the setup of this movie for them to have made a movie that was entertaining enough. And honestly, for about the first third of the movie, it wasn't really that bad. I'm sitting there watching this movie for about the first 30 minutes and I'm thinking, you know, this isn't really that bad. I mean, it's okay. It's not great or anything, but I'm being entertained enough. It's not like a dumpster fire. That's not to say that the movie didn't have its fair share of dumbass shit in the beginning parts of the film, but you know, it was stuff that I was willing to look past. But then Morbius gets his powers, and you would think that this would be the part of the movie where things got cool, but you would be thinking wrong. No, instead, this is the part of the movie where the movie becomes a jumbled fucking mess. For some reason, as soon as Morbius gets his powers and becomes Morbius, things get really fucking dull. No shit, the first big action scene we have of Morbius, you've seen it in the trailer where he's running around this like cargo ship just killing a whole bunch of people. I literally dozed off in the middle of a fucking action scene. I mean, it was only for maybe about 30 seconds, I think, but I fell the fuck asleep in the middle of an action scene. That is a bad sign for those of you that don't know. Now, speaking of that action, if you hadn't guessed by my reaction to the first action scene, it's not great. And as the movie progresses, it just gets worse. And by the time we get to the end of the movie and we have the big climactic action scene, oh my god, it's just like an explosion of fucking CGI puke all over the fucking screen. There's literally just shit everywhere on the screen. You don't really know exactly what's going on. You're able to pick up on it, but they're like flying through buildings and through streets and through signs and they're just all over the fucking place and you can't tell a difference. It's kind of like in the end of Venom 1 where you had these two CGI characters and they just kind of become one blob of CGI. If you, like me, thought that battle in the end of Venom was just like some CGI crap all over the screen, you couldn't really tell what was going on, that actually looks good compared to this. I'm not ragging on the actual CGI itself. I mean, it's not great, but I've heard some people calling it just like utter trash. It's not that. I mean, it's fine. The special effects of this movie as a whole they're just that. They're fine. Not great by any means, but I mean, they're fine. No, it's the implementation of said CGI. I don't care how good it looks if it's just a bunch of CGI thrown on the fucking canvas like a Jason Pollock painting. You can't really fucking tell what's going on. And when you're watching a fucking movie, you kind of need to tell what the hell's going on. So the action kind of sucks, but just said that the setup was okay at least. How about the story moving from that? Maybe that makes up for it. That's cute. The overall story in this movie honestly isn't bad, but it's not good either. The biggest complaint I have about the story of this movie is really the biggest complaint I have of the movie as a whole, and that is that it's just bland. I mean, I really gave like no fucks or shits about anybody on screen in this movie or anything that was happening in this movie. It was like a big ass nothing burger. It was like a double nothing burger. No cheese. It didn't even have fucking cheese, because you know what? That would be something. The one somewhat saving grace to this movie, I wouldn't really call it a saving grace, but the one, I guess, entertaining part of this movie would be Matt Smith. Everybody else in the movie just seems like they're kind of here doing a thing. They don't really know why. They don't really want to be there. It's almost like they're contractually obliged to be here. But Matt Smith really seems like he's having a good time, and anytime he was on screen, he was fun to watch. The material he has to work with really isn't all that, and some of the motivations behind his character, really all of the motivations behind his character, are kind of dumb, but the performance that he gives is actually fun. I would have rather seen a movie where he was the main character. There's also this cop duo played by Tyrese Gibson and Al Madrigal, and I don't even know why these guys were in the movie. I'm assuming these guys had more to do in like an original cut or something, because this movie seems like it was hacked all to hell. Now, I'm not gonna go and say that this movie is fucking terrible, but one thing I will say is terrible is the pacing. The way this movie is put together is absolutely atrocious. People jump from one place to another, they're doing things, there's no transitions, things are extremely sudden, it's just things happening. It's like a collection of scenes, but they're just very loosely tied together. I'd be okay with that if that collection of scenes were cool, but no, these collection of scenes are just fucking boring. And really, that's all I can say about the movie as a whole. It was so bland and messy that it was just kind of boring overall. Now, the one thing that could have saved this movie and elevated it a few notches would be the ending. If they could stick that landing, then everything that came before it, I probably would have been able to at least say, I mean, it wasn't great, but whatever, it was fine, it had a good ending. But really, the ending was one of the worst parts of the movie. Not only was the whole resolution to the problem in this movie just really fucking stupid. I mean, the thing that happens, the way that this adversary is defeated is just dumb as hell. But also, the movie just like ends. Like right after that, you feel like there's more to come, there's something else that's gonna happen, and it just cuts to fucking black. It's really abrupt, and I can't help but feel that there is something else. There's something we're missing. And I know the movie was hacked all to shit, so I'm sure there's a lot we're missing, but right there at the end, I feel like there should have been more. But given the way I felt about the movie at that point, I guess it putting itself out of its misery quickly and just going ahead and ending was probably the best thing. We'll call it a blessing in disguise. It wasn't like some people are saying the worst movie they've ever seen. If that's the case, then you don't see a lot of movies, because there's much worse. But on the flip side of that, it ain't good either. Guys, Morbius was pretty much what we feared, just not a very good movie. While it may not be quite as bad as some people are saying it is, it's not that far from it. Matt Smith gives a pretty entertaining performance here, and that's about all the positives I've got. I got a whole bunch of negatives though, like how it seemed like nobody else other than him wanted to really be making this movie, and how the movie overall is a fucking mess, clearly was cut all to shit, and is just bland, and worst of all, the biggest offense that this movie has is that it's just boring. While I can put up with a lot of things, boring ain't one of them. And while it may not be an absolute dumpster fire, it's not that great, and it's really only worth checking out on USA Up All Night.
It's not worth it!
Hi, I'm Gilbert Godfrey.
Hi, it's Yolanda on USA.
It's so big. It's just not worth it!
You know, I was really rooting for this one, honestly. I was hoping for an underdog story, but yeah, no. So there it is, guys, my review of Morbius. If you enjoyed and want more content like this, hit that subscribe button and help my little channel grow. If you want to help out the channel, check out my Patreon in the description below and become a jarhead and get some of the awesome benefits that go along with that, like these guys, and possibly join my top tier and become a bad motherfucker like my man Greg C and Dragon Khan. If you liked what I had to say, give me a like. If not, let me know in the comments below why. And as always, stay sexy, Costa Rica. So I didn't talk about it in the main review, but I'm going to touch on the end credit scenes here. I'm not going to spoil anything. I'm just going to talk about my thoughts about how I felt about them. Yes, I said them. There are two. Now, there's not an end credit scene per se. They're both mid credit scenes. And honestly, I didn't take into account the feelings I have of these scenes into the review of the film and the way that I rated it. Because had I done that, this movie would have gotten an even lower rating. Leading up to the release of this film, I kept hearing about how the movie was trash, but the end credit scenes were were just amazing. You lying ass motherfuckers. These end credit scenes were fucking terrible. Pretty much spoiled by the trailer, but I'm still not gonna say who it is. Both end credit scenes involve a character from this universe that most people are gonna know. And both end credit scenes are dumb as fuck and clearly have been hacked all to shit. Why is this character there? I mean, they give you a reason, but it doesn't make any sense given what we know about this particular reason why this person is there now. It makes no fucking sense. Not just that, they're really badly done and they're just fucking stupid. Everybody keeps calling the movie trash. I don't think the movie was trash, but these mid-credit scenes, they were fucking trash. Fuck these mid-credit scenes.